coastline today, starting off with our PISMO beach SURFLINE camera. You can see the thin marine layer off there in the distance, but really quite a bit of clarity today. The breeze was up big time, and as we've been telling you the last couple of days, no wind advisories, but today they put one in for part of the area into tomorrow morning. So we'll concentrate on that in a minute coming up. Avila Beach, 75. The humidity is 35%. The air is fairly dry. The dew point is 46%. In San Luis Obispo, northwest winds 17 miles per hour. So pretty breezy. The humidity 36%. Again, the air fairly dry for this time of day. Typically, when you start getting those winds back on shore, those numbers are a little higher. And in Santa Barbara, with the winds kind of coming off of the mesa, we've had some fairly dry air as well. 32% relative humidity. The temperature 78 degrees. Here you can see quite a bit of wind out by the point, and earlier today the winds were even higher than they are now, so we're still looking at winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour with higher gusts. So we hit the upper 20s and low 30s for a while in Santa Maria, Santa Ynez, Santa Barbara, and San Luis, but interestingly, Paso Robles was barely moving up there. The peak 1 minute average was only 7 miles per hour. Here's that advisory for passes and canyons of Santa Barbara County until 6 a.m. We saw this coming at us this morning, developing for a while, relaxing, but I do think there's enough wind energy there for 20 to 30 mile per hour winds gusting to 50. And again, the advisory through 6 a.m. But it's going to be highest in the passes and canyons of the 101, the 154, and the 192. So take a look at the impact of that. The coastal valley temperatures back up into the 80s tomorrow after starting the day in the 40s, and plenty of clarity. We're not dealing with that marine influence. The interior valleys up into the 90s. Definitely warmer than average. But, you know, if we're talking extreme, we're probably talking somewhere in the mid-90s or better. South Coast temperatures into the middle 80s. Again, much above average. And the west-facing beaches, 70 to 75 degrees. That's pretty warm for this time of year. Look how the skies have cleared out across the west. You can see the ridge in the upper atmosphere. And again, that drives some morning offshore winds and some afternoon onshore breezes. And here's how it looks for the next couple of days. The ridge peaking on Thursday. Now, Friday, it's still around. I think Friday's still a pretty warm day. But then ultimately, we get up in some of this southwest to westerly flow. It carries in some high cloud cover. The onshore flow resumes for some cooler temperatures into the weekend, especially at the coast. But another ridge is off in the distance for early next week. So here you go. You've got the upper 70s and lower 80s for coastal areas. South Coast, mid 80s and low 90s for Paso Robles. And again, with that 5 to 10 inch shortage on rainfall, anytime you start stringing together a bunch of days where the temperatures are above average, you start to think about fire weather, especially when those humidity numbers are down like I was talking about earlier in the show. There's no red flag advisory. There's no wind advisory for much of the region. But again, marginally speaking, it's something to be concerned about. But fortunately, it's only a couple of days before some marine layer starts creeping back in for Saturday and muting the temperatures a little bit. But temperatures do stay above average well into next week.